It may have just been preseason game number 3 of the season, but this felt like a game that could have had a playoff atmosphere. And that is because Rick Brunson and Donte DiVincenzo, they were ready to duke it out in a classic little round of fight night. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Coming up on today's show, we're going to get to the truth of what DiVincenzo told Rick Brunson, and we're going to break down the dispute that happened face-to-face. Then I'm going to share my thoughts on actually what happened, which was a basketball game where the Knicks starters, they looked good. It felt like more than a preseason game. A lot of stuff to get into. Hit that thumbs up icon, and let's start. All righty, Donte DiVincenzo playing in Madison Square Garden for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Didn't feel good, I'll tell you that much. I was not ready. It's too soon. It's like you broke up with your girlfriend last week, and she's already back around you. I need a little space. Donte DiVincenzo, he was there. And this is what happened. Well, first, look, if you were Donte DiVincenzo, you would be upset too at the situation. Maybe you're not mad at the Knicks, but you're upset at the situation. It's like you're going into your senior year of high school. You're finally with all your friends. You got Mikal Bridges. You got Josh Hart. You got Jalen Brunson. Now you're all teammates. You're all playing on varsity together. And then 2 weeks before the season starts, they trade you, and you have to go move to Minnesota. Of course he's upset. He's a competitor. He's got a chip on his shoulder. That's why we fell in love with him. That's why we're kind of upset with him right now. But in the and one situation, gets to the basket, makes the layup through the contact, yells and one, then he goes to the free throw line, and this is where all the professional lip readers threw their 2 cents in. What I saw was he pointed at the bench, and he says, that's what happens when they let you run the show. But before that, what happened was Donte DiVincenzo said, I can't finish, right? I can't finish, right? Kind of talking, I believe, to Tom Thibodeau in a joking manner. Thibodeau has made the joke that he is a shooter, and Donte hasn't always been the great finisher around the basket. So he's kind of saying that. And after he says, I can't finish, right? I can't finish, right? You hear him go, all right, all right. Then he says, that's what happens when they let you run the show. I believe when Donte DiVincenzo said, all right, it was Rick Brunson saying something to DiVincenzo. Stephen Bondi, who covers the New York Knicks, says this. As far as a clip circulating of Donte at the foul line, DiVincenzo said he was joking with Tibbs about not being able to finish. Donte said he never said, thanks for the trade. That's what a lot of people thought he said. He admitted he never said that. The stuff with Rick Brunson, that wasn't joking. However, including when he looked at the Knicks bench, not at Tibbs, and said, this is what happens when they let you run the show. Also said, my relationship with Jalen Brunson, that's my brother. It's my best friend, Donte said. That's a separate relationship. I said I'll talk about that privately with Rick and figure that out. Look, we know all and well about Rick Brunson. We've heard Josh Hart talk about Rick Brunson. Josh Hart saying, I hated Rick Brunson before he became friends with Jalen and stuff and like that. And look, obviously something happened behind the scenes. Something between DiVincenzo and Rick. Maybe they just didn't get along, whatever it was. Maybe just the chip on the shoulder for Donte came out. Look, we've all played sports. We've all been competitors. We've probably never all been traded, but we've played against people that maybe didn't think we were all that good as players. And you want to prove to them, and I'm sure Donte wanted to prove to the Knicks that they made the wrong decision. He'll do that for the rest of his career. After the game, though, is when it went from 5 to 10. The situation turned up. They're both walking to the locker room. They're shaking hands, and Rick Brunson and DiVincenzo, as you can see behind me, DiVincenzo with the towel on his head, the bald head from Rick Brunson right there. Supposedly this is what they said. Rick Brunson said, sucker shit, man. That was some sucker shit. I'm going to let you live, brother. And then DiVincenzo said, you talked to me. I was talking to Tibbs. You wanted to bring it out here for the camera. And that's what makes me believe my assumption of someone jawing from the Knicks bench, a.k.a. Rick Brunson, provoked DiVincenzo to say, I. And then he said, that's what happens when they let you run the team. Something must have happened here. I don't know exactly what happened behind the scenes. I don't know if Brunson hates Rick or if Rick Brunson hates DiVincenzo or DiVincenzo hates Rick Brunson. But there's obviously a clashing of some alpha male tendencies going on. For all the reasons we love DiVincenzo, is probably all the reasons a lot of people don't like him as well. Maybe Knicks fans don't like him. You know, I do. I'm always going to love that dude. He's a competitor. And look, this game had some juice to it. We saw Anthony Edwards picking up Jalen Brunson full court. Cat was playing against the Timberwolves for the first time. Julius was in the building. They played a little tribute video before the game happened. And I loved it. Made me feel like hoops was here, man. And look, Devo's a good player. And we're going to miss Donte DiVincenzo. We are. And for this trade to be worth it, and I don't want to go too far into this because the game hasn't even happened, and I'm not saying he hasn't played this way for me to say that, but for this trade to have made sense, Mikal Bridges needs to be exponentially better than DiVincenzo, and that's going to be tough because DiVincenzo's a hell of a player. And I used to say this on the watch party a lot last year with Seeps. Sometimes the Knicks felt like a country club team. Sometimes they felt like the AAU travel team where the best player was the coach's son, and it was DiVincenzo that brought that grit. It was DiVincenzo that brought that fight. It was DiVincenzo that brought some dog attitude to them. Game 7, no Hart, no Brunson, no OG, no Randall, no Bogey, no Mitch. What does DiVincenzo do on Game 7? He goes out and he gives you a 40 ball, giving you everything he can. Never scared, moments never too big. And he's got that New York grit, grind, and hustle, and that's why we fell in love with it. And I'm worried a little bit that the New York Knicks have not replaced any of that toughness, that swag, and that dog mentality on this roster. I think the Knicks are going to miss Donte DiVincenzo this year. I think the trade was the right trade. You had to do what you had to do, but they are going to miss him. And I wish him well, but when he plays the Knicks, I want to bury him. Let's go. Love what I saw from Brunson, though. I felt like he had a good control of the ball game. Shot nearly 50% from the field, 24 points on 13 shots. He's getting to the foul line a lot. I don't know if it's a quick whistle in the preseason or whatever it is. But I do think even though 6 assists is solid, it can be even better. He's still figuring out that chemistry with Karl Anthony Towns. He's figuring out the spacing. Cat, 16 boards, 16 points on 13 shots. Hasn't yet found the range from downtown for the Knicks. I want to see more diversity in the looks that he gets. How about a pin dab? How about we work to get him open off the ball? I have no worry in the world about Karl Anthony Towns in his offensive game. I love the way he's attacking the glass. The Knicks are going to need that as they are a little bit of a smaller lineup with OG at the 4. But that shot's got to come around, and Karl Anthony Towns is going to prove to be a really good basketball player for this team. OG's offense, it's one of the most slept on parts of a player's basketball game in this league. He has that pump fake, get to the lane, one dribble, pull up, down. He can get to the lane, step back, pull up. There. What about the one where he pulled the Brunson? Got into the lane, step back, defender comes flying at it, pump fake, step back, pump fake, step through, layup. He was playing off to the ascension, the growth is going to be much needed on the offensive end for OG and Anunoby. They're going to need him to average more than 16, 17 points per game this year. Had 19 last night. I think big things are coming for him on offense. 3 of 8 from downtown, the prototypical OG game. He also had the steal on the perimeter. He went coast to coast and threw it down. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite players to ever have played for the New York Knicks. Mikal Bridges, he's finding a way to get easy buckets for the Knicks. He's kind of looking a little bit like Opie Toppin on those fast breaks, leaking out, getting out there. Long ball didn't fall for him in preseason. Great defender. Man, the defense, the length, it's awesome. It's everything for the New York Knicks. I like what I'm seeing from the starters. They're only going to get better and better once the continuity, once the chemistry, once the trust continues to grow. The ceiling is truly limitless for this team. But I'm going to say it again. For the trade of Karl Anthony Towns to be worth it, Mikal Bridges needs to be exponentially better than Donte DiVincenzo. I think he could do it, and we're going to find out here pretty soon. We'll talk more. I got to talk about Josh Hart, Miles McBride, as well as Landry Shaman and the rest of the New York Knicks. But first, I got to give a major shout-out to today's sponsor, PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the game. And when you insert a lineup with the promo code CLNS for $5, PrizePicks is going to give you $50 for free. You don't even have to win anything on the $5 lineup. They'll give you $50 for free. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All you do is create a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you simply choose more or less on their projected stat line. baseball, basketball, football, college sports, and so much more. We've got our toe in the pool of a couple different sports for Monday night. Give me the more on Aaron Judge's home run set at half a homer. I think he's going yard. This is his moment. If it's not his moment, he might need to go. Give me James Cook to get into the paint, and I also got Breece Hall having a good ball game. You can roll with my picks or fade my picks, but I kindly ask if you're going to play daily fantasy sports, you do it with our proud sponsor, Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. Play a $5 lineup and get $50 for free. Josh Hart hasn't had the offense going for him yet. I mean, is this not the most prototypical Josh Hart stat line? 0 points, 0 shots, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. My man was out there for some cardio, still trying to find his spots and his role on this team. You guys know how I feel about Josh Hart, the ultimate gamer, the ultimate chess piece, needle mover. He's going to make big-time plays for this team. Miles McBride, not the most efficient night for him on offense, coming back after missing the second preseason game against the Charlotte Hornets. He was a little bit under the weather, but we kind of saw what he could bring. He can bring some juice off the bench. He's one of the only players outside of Brunson that really can create his own shot from the guard spot. By himself. I know Campaign can, but McBride is more of a guy that can operate in that mid-range game and get downhill. Still think there's an argument that he should start, but we'll table that until we need to talk about it any further. Cameron Payne, he's impressed me. I know it's preseason. I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid, but, man, I've got the jug of Campaign Kool-Aid ready to chug it, man. 5 of 10 again from the field. Gave you double-digit points. He's creating. He's dishing. He's swishing. He's getting into the lane. He's penetrating, and he's hitting big-time shots, and he's making threes. He's looked good so far, and his backcourt running made off the bench as well, Landry Shamet. He's making a good case to make this team as well. Not the most efficient from Shamet, but we know what he can do, and that's line it up from deep and knock it in. One of the better shooters in the NBA over the past couple, probably past 5-6 seasons. He's been a guy that's looked at as a top shooter in this league, and you can never have too much shooting coming off the bench. Preston Chua, solid, gave you good energy. Going to give you that off the bench. And I liked what Jericho Sims gave you as well. I know he didn't do much, but he had 7 boards, and he got more of the minutes tonight compared to Game 2 when they played Ariel Huck-Porty-Moore. And that's going to be a back-and-forth kind of battle between those guys to be that first big off the bench. Is it going to be Sims? Is it going to be Huck-Porty? I think Sims starts the season as that guy, but maybe as Huck-Porty impresses and kind of earns the trust from Tom Thibodeau in practice, I think that he could be a guy maybe that they do lean on. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter and IG at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there, and let's go Knicks.